Welcome back to Where Canaries Walk, and lots of praise this week for Norwich City following the demolition of Stoke City. First up, Dobbin signed a contract. Join us, say the fans. We'll get Killian and Matty's view on that in a second. Sorensen played well. Many fans were saying between, smiles all round. We'll get some comments, of course, on that. We're looking at the Mark's fixtures and just how far can Norwich go in this month of March. And stay tuned to the end of the video because we're asking these two, which one side would they love to see the back of in the Championship? Which fan base gets on Norwich's nerves the most? We'll ask Killian and Matty who they'd love to see get relegated. Thank you very, very much for joining us. It's a special episode this week. It's episode 30. Yes, 30 weeks of talking about Norwich City is what we've achieved. So I think that deserves a like. We'd love to get 30 likes. We've got Killian O'Grady, who is, of course, Norwich City's Fan of the Year from 2 seasons ago and destined to be this season's Norwich City's Fan of the Year for all the travelling he's done, is Matty Sokol. Delighted to have you both in charge. Back with us. Sorry, how are you?
Very good, Jan.
Yeah, all good.
Happy with the result.
First of all, just a shout out to Jason, who commented on last week's video about agreeing with the Bumblebee away shirt being the worst that we show, and I think we'll have that as our worst shirt. If you didn't see last week's video, we went through all the Norwich's terrible shirts, so go back and have a look at that. So thank you, Jason, for commenting on that. Right, we're looking at Stoke City then, Killian. The cries from Twitter were many of the following: sign the contract, Lewis. Superb first half at Lewis. Dobbin, sign the contract already, Lewis. There's another full page of tweets like this. Yeah, just how good is your Villa man?
Yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, I was having lunch with somebody who predicted he'd score the first goal, so I wasn't that surprised then when I did see him score. Part of a premonition. I mean, he is good. Obviously, Torp in his post-match interview was commenting about a slight knock or an injury he picked up in his calf, which he described as a result of his explosive nature as a player. But I think he's shown great signs, I think, most of the matches he's played.
Yeah. I mean, I know he's from Stoke-on-Trent. I don't know whether he's a Vale fan or a Stoke fan, but he did tweet that this one felt special. I'm guessing he must have had Stoke fans. But Matty, what's he giving you that you were missing before his arrival?
Well, I think that one of the biggest areas we were crying out for is someone kind of to be consistent on that wing when Sainz is being out. We were relying on him as a winger for goals or goal involvements. And he's coming and he's been direct, he's been sharp, he looks really energetic. As Killian mentions, that sort of explosive sort of dynamism that he's got is really good. And he's also he looks mature for his age as well. Like he's disciplined, he works hard for in his defensive efforts. I've been really impressed. He kind of in the first 3-4 games, he kind of went about his business quite quietly. I'm not saying he was poor, but like he looks like he's knuckled down and he wants to be here. Which has kind of been a stark contrast to Gordon, who we had on loan for the first half of the season. Who, it just didn't really fit, didn't really click. Whereas Dobbin, it's working well.
Brilliant. Do we talk about Sorensen, Killian? I mean. Let's do it. Come on. We've got to do it. We've got to put this up. Thank you, Chris, for this. Sorensen played well today. There, I said it. And that wasn't alone. There were others. Good win for Norwich, Mahobo and Fisher, excellent. And a shout-out for Sorensen, who had a very steady game. I love it. Thought Shane Duffy was dangerous up front for Stoke. He looked like conceding every time he got near the ball. More on that in a minute. But let's focus on Sorensen, who hasn't really had any shout-outs in our 30 weeks we've done this so far. But Killian, does he deserve one for this particular game?
I think he's done well the last 2 games. He's fitted in well for Kenny. I mean, I think his big issue has always been his injury, how injury prone he is. And I think JHT in his pre-match press conference, when he was asked about his contract, I think hinted very strongly that his injury proneness was going to go against him. In terms of a contract renewal, but he's certainly playing like he wants to renew his contract. I thought he did well.
I'm guessing, Matty, at the end of the year, when we ask you about out of contract players, Sorensen won't be getting a yes from yourself. But has he changed your mind on him?
No, you're right. I wouldn't extend his contract just on the fact that as Hoftorp's even, I mean, when your manager's alluding to it, that's quite, it's quite out there for me. But he is injury prone. He's made of glass, and he's spent a lot of time out injured for us. He's not terrible. It just doesn't do enough for me. And I know there are some players that I've just alluded to, Dobbin kind of going about his business quietly and kind of digging in, but he's too one-dimensional, Sorensen, for me. He's very slow. He seems like he's only got one gear. He was actually okay yesterday. I'll agree with Killian. He was decent, and a few people have commented, and I'm not stupid or naive enough to sort of be able to sort of take my head out my backside and say that he was all right yesterday. But one decent game or a couple of decent games, it's not enough for me to justify, especially when we've got Wright, who's younger and looks like a bit of a player. So I've been surprised that he started both games, to be honest. But he did okay yesterday.
Okay. Right, let's. If you've been watching us over 30 weeks, we know we always have at least one negative fan or things to talk about. This week, of course, it was no surprise that it was the turn of Duffy to get some fans back up. Great performance and result, but Duffy really needs to do better. We can't be here every single week, Killian, talking about his errors, but is he the weak link in an otherwise decent Norwich side?
Yeah, I don't think he had his best game yesterday. And obviously, he was probably at fault for both goals. But I think he also brings a lot to it. I mean, I was listening to Kellen Fisher's interview during the week, and he was really complimentary of how well Duffy boosts him. So I think he's a good senior statesman in the team, but possibly a little bit slow and didn't have a great game yesterday.
Okay. One of the things that as a neutral I've enjoyed about Norwich is all the new young faces that Hoftorp is starting to bring through. Matty, another one for us to watch at Stoke City. Rory McUndall. First of all, what do we know about him and how did he do?
Yeah, signed from Brighton. It's an interesting one because I think he's made an under-21 appearance for Ireland, and I really like. I think you mentioned about young players coming through. I think we've done that very, very well. I know it's only 2 windows now that Hoftorp and his team have had, and obviously Napper's been around a bit longer. But in terms of kind of that sort of working relationship between what Napper is looking for and what Hoftorp's looking for in a player, it's been really refreshing to see younger players being signed. We've spoken about it on the podcast before. I know where last season and the season before we signed all the heads and that bit more experience and had a big wage bill off the back of it. Whereas we've brought in players who are young, hungry, and it was great to see him come on and make his debut. And it's been sort of similar with Mahovo this season breaking through. Fisher's had a lot of game time. So, yeah, it's been really, really nice to sort of see that balance shifting in terms of, nothing against the older heads and the more mature, experienced players, because you do need them for the course of a season. But football's a young person's game, isn't it? So it's really good to see that opportunity being given to these young players.
Okay. One more from the game. Timmy Todger says, this season feels like last season. Some absolutely mental home unbeaten runs and performances, yet still end up dissatisfied. Next season, this could be some team. If we keep Sargent, we won't. So, Killian, how much is Sargent now worth to a West Ham, a Brighton, an Everton, name a Premier League? I mean, even dare I say, even an Arsenal? They need a striker.
Yeah, I mean, he's phenomenal. He's done really well. Obviously not proven at Premier League level though. So, and obviously the last 2 seasons we've had him out injured quite a lot. Thankfully, when he went down in the box this week, it looked pretty serious and it wasn't, which thankfully. But he's probably worth at least 30 million, I would say.
Matty, any advance on 30?
Yeah, I'd agree in the current kind of climate and of silly fees that are being paid. 25 to 30, I'd go for. It's interesting, isn't it? Because the season he had in the Premier League, he was played out of position, missed a really good chance. I think was it at home to, was it Palace maybe? I can't remember, where he was kind of 40, 50 yards out, had an open goal, and it was a disastrous effort. And that would have been a real chance for him to kind of, score early on in the season and make an impact. And he kind of looked void of confidence from there, and he was played out of position. So to see him kind of, back-to-back season scoring goals for fun in the Championship when he is fit, it makes me think he is worth, 25, 30 million. The biggest thing for me with Josh Sargent, as much as I love him, and I think, as it says, he's the best striker in the league and all of the AFL, is that his injury record, as Killian mentions, it's not ideal. If he didn't pick up those injuries, then I think he might have even have gone in January. And I know Leeds have been a couple of times now rumoured. It wouldn't surprise me if Farker, irrespective of whether they go up or not, which I think they will, comes sniffing around for the man that he brought to Norwich in the first place.
Okay. Will he win the Golden Boot, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Him or Science, what do you reckon, Ian?
That's a tough one to gauge. He's got the catch signs, but he's certainly shown the form to do it.
He's in form, yeah.
You could end up, couldn't you, with this weird situation where the two of them are not passing to each other because they don't want the other to take the Golden Boot at the end of the season.
We finished with them both top 2 in the terms of the Golden Boot, but we don't make top 6. That would be classic, wouldn't it?
That is the most Norwich thing that could happen, isn't it? Okay. Before we move on, do drop us a subscribe. We are at 74 subscribers at the moment in time, so we are so close to 100 and for doing the 30 weeks. And there's so much other great Norwich content out there, of course. We'd be very delighted if you could just help us nudge towards that 100. That would be absolutely amazing. Just taking an eye off Norwich for a second, does it glow your hearts with some warmth to know that when the fixtures come out next season, Killian, it's very now likely that Ipswich will be back on your radar, unless, of course, you go in the other direction.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, 16 years, get it up to 18, 19 years, maybe, if we did each other. I think it's. I mean, it was great to see Wolves win at the weekend, as well as. I mean, it was the perfect sporting weekend, so for me, with Ireland winning. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant.
And you kind of missed of seeing the picture of course, the Tottenham, Maddison, yes, with his canary tattoo in the Ipswich changing room. Have that please you a bit, Matty? Yeah.
Oh, that got sent around all of the group chats. That was lovely. That was, as Killian says, pretty much a perfect weekend. So Norwich win, Ipswich lose, and it's always nice when it happens.
Yeah. Terrible tattoos though. Some
of them look like someone's just scribbled on his art. It's all subjective art, isn't it? So
that canary's there in the middle, though, isn't it? We can see that. That's the one. Yeah. Okay. Right then, let's have a look. Then let's see what's coming up for March. Can't believe it's March. 12 games. 12 games to go. Let's have a look what's left for Norwich then in the upcoming games. First of all, Blackburn away, which we'll have a chat about in a minute, and then we've got three home games in this month, which is good. Oxford, Sheffield Wednesday, and of course a big one at the end of the month, which will be against the team currently where you want to be, which is in 6th and West Brom, and then just before that, a trip to the team right behind you in Bristol City. So the end of March, Killian, is going to be huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big month. Obviously, a lot of players in around the mix there. All the teams are playing. Wednesday are just behind us. Bristol, Oxford are obviously not that close to us, but the rest of the teams are definitely in the mix. So starting with Blackburn and finishing with West Brom, teams in 5th and 6th. I think there's only 4 points between us, so it's all to play for this month. Yeah,
Matty, how many points do you see coming from 15 in March?
Oh, I'd be happy with double figures. I really, really would. I don't see it though. Blackburn's difficult. Bristol City's very difficult. West Brom, that's, I'd back us at home against most teams. I know we've not had a great couple of results prior to the Stoke game at home, but I'd like to think we can get double figures just with those home fixtures, and Oxford, that's definitely winnable. It's tough, isn't it? Because there's a lot of teams that are sort of in the same kind of category who, maybe not quite good enough to go up, but should be in and around, or will be in and around the playoffs. And this month could be pivotal for not just us, but other teams, success or lack of this season, I think.
Yeah, I mean, last year when you landed in the playoffs, you got Leeds, of course, and it's that sixth place, isn't it? You're going to end up. You definitely need to finish fifth, don't you, to play Sunderland. You don't really want to end up playing Burnley or Sheffield United. So actually, when we say get in six, actually, you need to finish fifth to have a chance, don't we?
Yeah, and last season we threw that away against Birmingham in the last match, where we could have got fifth. And they were already relegated. So,
yeah, let's go and grab fifth. Right. Speaking of relegation, to finish off with this week, we're asking Killian and Matty and you. So please put your comments on this answer. Please put your answer into the comments on this one. Who is the fan base that you now want to get rid of? We think now the relegation race is down to 9 teams. We probably think Swansea, to be fair, and Oxford are safe enough. But this isn't about who you think you should go down. This is about who you would like to get rid of, who just grates you more than any other fan base, and who you'd love to see have at least a season in League One. Matty, let's start with you. Don't hold back.
I can't put Middlesbrough in there, obviously, but they'd be down. Probably Cardiff, I think. It's not getting into the whole Welsh football thing, but yeah, I'd go Cardiff. I don't mind. It's nice to see the likes of Oxford and Portsmouth. It'd be nice to see them stay up, because you see teams go up from the Championship to the Premier League who, the last 2 seasons, or probably this season, very likely, the 3 that have gone up have come back down. So if the 3, if 2 of the 3, or all the teams that came up from League One stayed up, I think that would be quite refreshing. Not sure if it'll happen or not. So yeah, I'd stick Cardiff in there, Cardiff or Swansea, but Cardiff's more likely, isn't it?
Okay, Killian.
Yeah, I mean, there's no club there that would have an issue with the fans. So I mean, I think they're all decent fans in all those clubs. In terms of just either grounds or travelling to places, I'd go Hull or Luton. Hull for me is a nightmare to get to, and Luton is a horrible stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Right. Norwich fans reckon that Hull, Cardiff, Luton should drop. Let us know whether you've got any particular bias as to any of those teams dropping. Next week, we're going to choose our ideal playoff final between the teams in and around that. So they'll get their chance to have their revenge next week. Join us for that. Thank you very much for the last 30 weeks as well. Thank you for all your support. We really enjoy making this content for you. We'll see you in 7 days' time. Thank you, Killian. Thank you, Matty. Enjoy the trip to Blackburn.